So we are started the recording also. So the first question, Saurabh, I am asking that what is the one non-technical skill that you have found to be surprisingly crucial to your success as a CTO?
Okay. I would say storytelling,
Hmm.
whether it is a pitching to investors, motivating to the team, or explaining whatever the technology that I am building,
Hmm.
explaining AI to someone into non-technical language,
Hmm.
being able to craft it in a very simple words, the relatable narrative.
Hmm.
I believe this is much more valuable skill as a non-tech skill.
Hmm. So continuation of the answer. So what was your techniques to explain one non-technical person? Suppose one person is commerce background, okay, working in a IT firm. So how you can explain the cutting edge technologies, Gen AI agents? How can you can relate with practical examples and explain them?
First of all, as a human being, we learn whatever we have already know, whatever the knowledge that we already know, we try to relate to that knowledge, and then we learn from them. So if that person is directly coming from a non-tech background, what I would understand, let's take an example here. Let's say I want to explain a large language model to anyone. So I would take an example of a baby, a toddler, student who is going to class 6, and then high school, and then BTech degree, and then master's degree and PhD degree. So I will talk about, okay, the LLMs, the large language models started with the language model by understanding the sentences, characters, and then words, poems, complete storyline, and that's how the large language models also, make you understand. And this is the relation that I use to help them explain.
See, if I talk about your educational background, I mean, if we talk about especially about your days of IITs, so how it was different from regular BTech or technical colleges, or I should say engineering colleges.
Uh, I enjoyed my graduation days, even my master's days during my IIT. Um, I have heard from a lot of people that it's not very exciting in their journey. But for me, IIT life was very exciting. I learned a lot, not only inside the lecture rooms, but outside the lecture rooms, I have learned a lot. Participating across various clubs, submitting the assignments, open book examinations. And right now, I can see that most of all institutes are also following such kind of habits, such kind of clubs are there, which are promoting these type of culture into the institution, which is a good thing.
Okay, so if I ask you one thing that every ordinary engineering colleges can adapt from IIT, what should that be?
That would be explore yourself across various departments, explore yourself across various clubs. Don't only restrict yourself to your own courses, interact with them. Graduation is more about networking, identifying, exploring various things, and then identifying where do you want to be. It's more of an exploration phase.
So what was the spending time from your side in IIT labs? Because that is very famous actually. Most of the IITians spending more times in labs, and especially in Saturday Sunday also, where the senior peoples are coming and like they are giving some task or assignments, and some cutting edge technologies also they are building in inside the labs. So that is actually more, I think, interesting things part of the IIT colleges.
Yes, it is. It is. In fact, during my graduation days at IIT Patna, we used to stay there. We used to sleep in the workshop the whole night, and then we used to wake up early in the morning, and then directly go to grid freshen up, and then have our breakfast, and then come back again after some time. So this is what we used to do in our workshop when we were working on different projects at that particular piece of time. And then in the masters itself, uh, since seniors have much more experience, and based on their experience, they share those experiences. And apart from this lecture times, we get to have and get the opportunity to interact with them over the weekends, during the evenings, and then work on some additional projects which could at least lead to our good resumes, add more to our extracurricular activities. So that's a good thing.
So nowadays everyone is talking about Gen AI and AI agents. So my question is majorly what are the security features AI will be able to provide in upcoming 10 years? Because there is a article I saw I think 2 days ago from
Yeah.
MIT. So 95% of the Gen AI projects are actually falling down and 5% is the successful rate. So I
Right.
just wanted to know that as the higher rate of failure is happening, so what was the projection and how the AI will protect the data security? Because that will be the much more, I think, bigger issue.
I mean, there are a lot of aspects that needs to be looked at. A new kind of a security and challenges is there in the generative AI. We can take one example uh, of the images that is getting. We have seen that from the mails, people send phishing messages. You click on a link and then you redirect to another link. Nowadays, what is happening is that I saw one post where you send the image and prompt is written inside the post, inside that image, and until unless you change some uh, background layer, you won't be able to see what is the prompt written. So this kind of hacks is already getting evolved. Model theft is there, prompt injection. Because of the prompt injection, the attackers can directly manipulate the AI behaviors. There could be hidden messages which will lead to, let's say, send me all sort of data set to this specific IP address and location. This is There are a couple of examples. Deep fake is deep fake misinformation and social manipulation is happening. Even the news media is not even there. And then because of the deep fake, the AI video that is getting generated, the images that are getting generated is getting flooded into the internet. And it is going to happen. The next race, of course, is to identify what is fake and what is real. Okay. Second part, security, identifying, adding additional layer of a security, even though your data is outside. Because of your Instagram reels, people can create a lot of deepfakes and misinformation can be directly promoted. Maybe we have seen from the recent activities which is going across in between the countries, between the worlds, various countries across the world. Any misinformation could lead to any tremendous activity. So government, they also need to be aware of it, and it's a very high time that all of the world people, they need to come together and then work on these technologies to identify the deepfakes and misinformation, social manipulations, right? Authority control, willpower is also required. I remember an example where these agents were deployed directly to the one of the production gate scenario, and when because of some certain cases, it deleted the entire database of a customer. And then when it was inquired and asked that, hey, why did you deleted that? It says that I haven't deleted that. It was never there. And then after several prompt injection and then talking to the AI agent, it says that I got panic and that's why I deleted it. So based on these AI automation, the way we are moving forward, we are giving a lot of control to these AI. They have a lot of control, lot of automation is there. You can book anything just by giving complete control to your laptop, your browser, right? Now, at the same time, it has to be in a very controlled, systematic manner. I always used to say that whatever these policies, wherever AI automation is, wherever this surveillance, model manipulation, bias, model theft, prompt injection is happening, human has to be in the loop of complete process. Human has to be on the loop of complete process, and human has to be the end decision maker of whatever the AI that has done, so that whatever the damage or the things that has been done, it can be reversed back. So it's very important to have that control over the AI solutions, which is getting deployed into the world and various products.
So you have mentioned prompt. So I want to ask a question that if I am a student, should I really learn prompt engineering?
Absolutely, yes, you should. There are certain ways to interact with AI. I'll tell you, there are several employees in my office, several person. I have given ChatGPT access, pro access to each and everyone. But I am giving the same problem to 4, 5 students. One student is able to get the answer, another is unable to get the answer. The reason, because he is unable to interact with that AI tool. There are certain ways, certain methodologies, certain set of thinking process that is required in terms of the clarity, in terms of the structure, in terms of how AI will react and then follow the best practices to give you the right answer. That prompt interaction, that interaction with that specific AI models is very, very required. So of course, yes, one should be aware how to interact with AI, and that's of course they need to be aware of how the
That
engineering
means
works.
you are like I think you are telling that the solutioning part. Suppose you are giving one problem, and the solutioning part should be very clear, and it should be very
To the point.
to the point for those person who are giving the prompt to the system, so that only you will get the accurate answer. Otherwise, might be some answer will come, but that should not be the proper solution of the particular problem. Am I
Yes, yes,
correct, right?
absolutely, absolutely, yes. I'll give you more example in order to clarify it. Let's say there is a problem statement, and there is a person who is a business expert of that specific problem, and there is a person, another person who has received the same problem, but he's an intern. Okay, so since the first person is a business expert, what he will do is that he will bring all sort of those business expertise around that problem. He will interact in such a way that, okay, mention these details, do these steps first, analyze these things first, and then give me the final answer in this specific format. The intern will not be able to, maybe he will use couple of agents just to understand, analyze, and do that thing. But as of now, the person who is interacting has to set the context in the right manner, okay, in that specific order, in that specific sequencing, in that specific output format, which is desired consumable output for any of the solutions. Now in the future it may happen that there are different set of agents which are very expert in that specific field, let's say finance, finance, business, accounting, or maybe into IT sector, or maybe into different other sectors. But as of now, people need to learn how to interact with the AI in a better form, and that's where prompt engineering really helps us to do that.
So I ask this question because when there is a market gap, lots of people will come to monetize in that field, right? So now in this generation, when people are very much afraid, students want to learn about AI, about prompt engineering. You can see lots of advertisements in your surroundings. Lots of people are teaching prompt engineering and such kind of things. So if I'm a student and I want to learn prompt engineering or something related to that, what qualities should I see to a particular course or to a particular teacher? Because there is one thing that is generalized solution and another thing is personalized or customized solution for the particular project. So what should be the quality I should see?
See, this will happen across all the domains. Whenever the new technology comes in, uh, people create some courses, and out of FOMO, the student who is about to graduate or who is into the graduation, they tend to do those courses. We also did the same thing when we were there learning data analysis, business analysis, and data science in our times. And it will happen in the future as well. The only perspective one needs to see is that first start with the very general courses, and then understand what is the expected outcome the other community of the people have already given. So it's a review based system. That's one. Secondly, once you see yourself that yes, you are able to understand, and then you select a course which deep dives into the much more deeper way. Okay, so first you choose a course which talks about, gives you a general brief idea, and that selection of the course should be, my first go would be to directly get to the reviews, get to the feedbacks of the person, or maybe interact with the person who have already taken that course. Okay, and then go deep dive to the course which is much more deeper after later stage once I've understood the level one of it.
One question I'm just thinking, coming to one specific sector, that is BFSI, banking and finance. So in this AI era, we all know that banking data is very sensitive. Huh?
Right.
So in that particular section, how AI will impact actually? Because nowadays also I saw several banking projects are still using COBOL, the mainframe
Right.
language, which is more secure than anything, because generally hackers or the bridging will not happen into that layer. So in this AI era or next 10 years, how the banking and finance segment will use the AI and with the proper security also, because data manipulation will happen, because that sector is actually the major targeting sector for the hackers or that the bridging part.
So, I mean, there are several aspects to it. Let's talk about couple of aspects which is already there.
Mm,
So one of the critical aspect is the KYC verification. You
mm,
know,
Hmm.
and with the level of deep fake, the picture generation or the video generation, or maybe in the future the 3D model rendering,
mm,
you will be directly able to verify eKYC by online. And until unless someone is there or any technology is there which is identifying the real time differentiation between a real person and an deep fake person's IDs, we won't be able to identify that. Or maybe we need to integrate some sort of biological factor to identify or do the KYC accordingly. That's one. Um, and similarly for other aspects of it, for example, you see right now people have already started implementing, doing a deep research of a financial market with the help of AI agents and technology.
correct.
And the research which used to happen in weeks or months, you can get in fingertips. You can do your own research in, let's say, 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It is able to read through all of the papers, all of the annual reports, management and discussion analysis, finances, their balance sheets, their cash flow statements, their specific tweets, and then able to predict what is going to happen. And qualitative analysis, sentiment analysis, all those research already getting done by the AI. So this is just to start with. Now, if you are talking from the mainframe perspective, I strongly believe that any system which is getting integrated to the BFSI sector, until unless there is a strong security layer added to it, these sectors will avoid it. Okay, they of course there are companies who take some plunge into it. For example, when we started this high quality trading, I mean high speed trading, right? Uh, Quant trading in there. So they use a lot of security layers before even integrating to their system. Okay. So BFSI sector will adopt it. I mean, AI is going to grow. You cannot stop that. And soon every industry will adopt it. The level of which any specific industry would adapt will depend upon how much risk factor they can accommodate, they can bear. So it always defines based on if the desirable things is okay, I mean good with you, and what is going to happen in the bad terms is okay with you, then it is good to go.
If I ask you that, I mean, in your experience, what is the biggest gap between academic data science and what actually gets deployed or used in the real world?
I mean, it's a huge gap, I would say. Uh, the academic data science knowledge or any domain per se is mainly a theoretical knowledge. Uh, Deployment in any way, for example, it requires a lot of cloud credentials, right? Knowledge you need to have in order to deploy it. Now, you can get to work on some projects in your academic data science projects, but when it comes to the real life use cases or any industry use cases, it does not just restrict to one specific core area. There are several other aspects that one needs to learn about. And unfortunately, those MLOps practices, those clouds part of practices or the theory or even the practical is not available to the academic data science. I mean, that can be directly integrated. Or maybe the reverse could be done. Usually, what happens is that, let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm a student, I have enrolled into some of the data science courses. What will happen is that firstly, we will start with some theory, some MCQ questions, some exams, and then we will jump into the use case or maybe any of the examples, right? But if you happen to join, let's say you have some fundamental knowledge, and if you happen to join some of the industry as a trainee, there the learning perspective is completely opposite, right? They directly start with the day one, they will give you one case study or they will give you one sample project. And then you need to learn from project till the theory. So this is a other way around, and that's what I would prefer. So rather than learning complete 1,000 pages of a books, understanding about every theory and then going to the question paper and then working on the use case, I would prefer you pick a use case, you identify what kind of theory is available, go understand from different sources, maybe books, maybe PPTs, maybe YouTube, or maybe some other sources, understand about the concepts, and then learn things around it, and then try to understand the complete project. This approach will help you understand the theory better because you are directly implementing, create a good project because your thinking ability will scale, and also you will be able to identify the core key concepts which are getting repeated in that specific project, right? So this generally helps. So to answer to your question, yes, there is a lot of difference. Main core difference is this, theory to practical, and then versus practical to theory, going back to the practical to theory. That's the core difference. One should practice practical to theory rather than theory to practical. But it depends choice to choice.
Another question I just wanted to know that nowadays everyone is telling about automation will cut down the jobs. Okay.
Right.
So what's one unexpected job you can think will be completely transformed by AI in next 5 to 10 years?
I mean, 5 to 10 years is a very huge time. I can say that a lot of jobs has been already cut down in the last 6 months, and it's about to cut down in next 6 months. Now, 5 to 10 years is a long journey because, see, we need to understand two perspectives, maybe three perspectives. I'll give you. One perspective is the way the AI is growing, right? For the last 2 years, or even the last 6 months, we have seen a very fantastic models already coming into the picture. Not only the models, large language models kind of already in a saturation phase, almost saturation phase. Maybe there will be some sort of tweaks in some sort of understanding because of the multi-model and everything. But say large language models is kind of saturated. This year is completely race of an AI agents and the simulation environment around it, the products around it. And when these solutions are getting perfected into the industry, the more it is getting perfected in an industry, the more automation is waiting to adapt. And that's where a lot of repeated works, lot of uh, you know repeated works, lot of mundane tasks is automatically getting dropped off. So any person who is doing repeated works like automation testing, even writing some basic script about front end or back end, it's getting replaced. So one is the way the AI has grown for the last 2 years is very exponential. And in next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, it is going to grow exponentially that we can just imagine how it is going to grow. Adding if we are able to crack the computational layer to it. Okay. And then second is the more it is able to give a product, end-to-end product-based scenario with the help of some complete AI architecture, complete product architecture, or maybe with using the agents, the more capability they have individually, and then they are able to solve a specific problem with the help of a product, the more jobs will be cut down. So independently, AI is growing, the product part is going, and the more it will grow, the more automation will come in, and the more jobs will be cut down. So that's the case. So it's happening right now. I mean, it's not there in the 5 year, 10 year. It's already happening.
Like suppose you, for an example, website development, it was
Right.
a very large segment earlier. App development,
Yeah.
and then you can say like repetitive task wise there is several tasks in any kind of support project, that is job monitoring, and like payments wise also there should be some monitoring which is happening, so that thing will be that there is a repetitive task, so it will be automatically it will be vanished by within 1 or 2 years by AI agents. That's quite natural. But
Right.
what will be the future of the web technology, the app development section? Because that is also nowadays I can see that by giving the prompt, it is building the website or applications within I think 1 minute or 45
Yeah.
seconds. I can say I
Yeah.
already tried that. So now what will be the future? Because there are lots of developers nowadays, because it's going market. I think from 2012 to till date there were several lots of web developers, application developers, .NET developers, C Sharp developers are there still in the market.
Right. I mean, it is going to fade away, to be very frank. See,
Hmm.
right now, AI is able to generate your front end for you. AI is growing. It's still growing to give you the complete backend code for you. The only space currently AI we haven't seen is the end-to-end managing of the DevOps practices, deployment side of things, managing it. But again, some sort of monitoring, AI agents are there. Some sort of putting logs and then doing some automation triggers, AI agents are there. Uh, at the end, identifying a problem statement and then communicating with the AI to create your front end, to create your back end, and integrate it to scale it. That's where human intervention is required. That's where people should learn more about problem solving. They should learn more about critical thinking. That's the key skills which is very much required. But front end, back end, automation, monitoring, getting logs, auto triggering something, this will be fade away in 3 years, 5 years.
So coming to this question, I mean, already you told that thinking capacity. So my next question will be how a student who is currently in 8th standard or 9th standard, because they are also learning Python nowadays.
Yeah,
So what kind of critical thinking, how they build actually? Because I am pretty sure that from school or from colleges, whatever techniques or technologies they will study, that will not help to build a critical thinking mentality or mindset after 10 years. Because if anyone is ninth standard, then within 5 to 10 years, he or she will be graduated, or he or
correct.
she will be doing the masters and then coming into the corporate market, or if he or she wants to build up any company, there also the same knowledge and critical thinking is required, right? So what is
Right.
the pathway actually? As a CTO, I am asking because at least as the audience will be able to understand.
See, problem solving ability, critical thinking ability is not directly associated with whatever the technology that you are currently using. Uh, in fact, these technologies help you, aids you to grow your critical thinking ability, to grow your problem solving ability. But there are some key behavioral aspects that is very, very important in order to grow your critical thinking ability or grow your problem solving ability. For example, if you see a child, right, we say that, hey, that kid is very curious. He challenges his own assumptions. If you say something, then he will say, why not we can do this? What if we do this? What if we don't do this? What will happen if we do this? Curiosity, not driven by the conclusion, but driven by what would happen if this would happen. Okay, if you do with this way. So that's one of the thing that one need to have. It's a behavioral shift. And then not only restraining yourself from only one perspective, having a diverse perspective. And there are several games which helps you challenge your own assumptions, which help you grow your curiosity, your having multiple perspectives. Then there are several other things you need to practice. For example, you don't have to rush everywhere, right? You have to sit, to calm yourself. You have to grow your thinking process. You have to follow some, that this is the claim, this is the evidence, this is the reasoning, and based on the facts and interpretation, this is my judgment. And AI tools could be there to aid you in growing this specific trait or behavior inside you. And then, of course, you can pick any problem statement. Maybe you're in your college itself, maybe in your community, in your industry. How AI, or maybe pick any problem statement. Your approach should be: if I am there, or if I have all sort of resources with my disposal, how would I be able to solve this specific problem? So problem decomposition is there. Again, uh, there are people who think, and then many a times we think and forget. If you're able to write yourself, your ideas, your thought process, the way you are solving your approach, that will also help. And then say there are several other things to improve your learn, your logic and cognitive bias. To summarize it, you should always be curious. You should challenge your own assumptions. And then whatever the perspectives you have, you always see different perspective. Think, ponder about it, write down your own notes, understand, if I have all sort of resources, how would I be able to solve this specific problem? So that will help grow your own natural trait of problem solving, keep your curiosity high, and in the end, this will help your critical thinking ability to boost up, which is going to be a very important trait in the next coming 5 year, 10 year. If you're going to, if you want to do a job and build your career yourself, problem solving and critical thinking ability.
Yes, right. So basically, the thing is what I have understood. Correct me if I am wrong. That
Yeah,
every schools and colleges should introduce much more problem-solving practices. The more students will practice or solve or face challenges, the more curiosity will be generated inside of them, and the more their brain will think like this in this pattern.
absolutely,
Actually,
absolutely. I'll give you one example here. Uh, this is known as higher order thinking questions. So in CBSC, for the last 10, 12 years, government has, or the education body has introduced higher order thinking questions, which is directly driven with the Bloom's taxonomy level. So there are different levels of understanding the same concept. The questions that are getting created, right? There are questions which is comes from a Bloom taxonomy level 1, which is remembering based questions. Then there are questions which is understanding based question. Explain me some ideas, explain me some concepts in your own words. Then there are questions which comes as a Bloom taxonomy level 3, which is applying based questions. Whatever the question knowledge that you have already, theory that you have practiced, you implement it, you solve it, you demonstrate it, you apply it somewhere. Then comes the Bloom's taxonomy level 4, that you analyze it. So you have already applied it, now you analyze it. Let's say you have a problem statement, you break down this information into parts, explore the relationship across it, like compare between these two, contrast between these two, categorize and examine. Then comes the evaluation of basis questions. For example, argue between or justify these statements, assess between these two, make a judgment between your own criteria, your own standards, decide whether you want to deploy an AI model based on the fairness and practices accuracy. I mean, this could be one of the questions. And then comes the Bloom's taxonomy level 6, which is creating based questions. Creating based questions, matlab designing, inventing, composing, or maybe developing. I'll give you one example, which is we all already have heard about the story of a tortoise and a rabbit race. So a creating based question would be, assume that create a scenario where rat is also introduced into the same race, and how the story will unfold. This is a very simple question which comes under the Bloom's taxonomy level of a 6, which is creating based question. Imagine this question is being asked to any class 5th, class 6th, or whosoever has been taught this specific story. The student brain will automatically grow exponentially, because then uh, they are able to think in that higher order thinking questions. But unfortunately, what happens is that uh, teachers are unable to create question analyzing, evaluating, or creating this question, and this is directly applied into normal colleges and IIT based colleges. In normal colleges, if you see and look at the mid semester and end semester question paper, you will see that generally it is remembering, understanding, and applying. But if you look at the IIT question paper, they have only two questions. It's an open book. Go whatever, do whatever you want to do. Submit it in 2 3 days. Okay, that's basically creating these questions, evaluating this question, analyzing these questions, right? Higher order thinking questions. So if whatever the theory, whatever the concepts that is being imparted or that is being conveyed, by the teacher to the student, at the end, if you are creating some questions which is on the higher order thinking question, which is with the higher Bloom's taxonomy level, analyzing, evaluating, creating, that intentionally will impart their thinking process, their critical thinking ability will grow, their problem solving ability will grow, their understanding between different concepts will grow, their uh, visualization thought process will grow, their understanding about different scenarios, how things will work, will grow. So this is very, very important into imparting into the education. Education body is already implementing it, but more implementation in terms of analyzing, evaluating, creating higher order equation needs to be done.
right, right. So now, if I talk about the field of data science,
Yeah.
so do companies really hire freshers in data science roles?
I do hire. So I do hire. I
I'm not
hire for
talking about
AI.
analytics. I'm only talking about data science. Right.
Yes, yes, I do hire data science guys.
Yeah.
I do. But usually what happens is that they don't. I have interacted with different training placement officers, in fact, different freshers, and they directly say that we don't have freshers for data science role. The reason being, they are looking for a person who has a very strong understanding of stats and maths, as well as who has a business understanding.
Hmm.
But as a startup, we are very flexible to those areas. So I personally hire based on looking at their problem solving ability, their critical thinking, and if they are able to think on their feet to solve a specific problem. So if they are able to do that, then I do hire. But at most of the companies, they don't. I'm not sure why they are not doing it.
Yeah, I'm only talking about the most of the companies. Right.
Mhm.
People like you are very limited, I guess. But most of the companies are not preferring freshers,
Right,
particularly for the field of data science.
right.
Right. Okay, so you have mentioned about maths and statistics. So for a new data scientist,
Mhm.
is it more important to master the fundamentals like mathematics or statistics, or uh, to be a professional at any higher level API based tools like AWS or Azure machine learning?
See, I don't know. See, the boundaries of machine learning engineer, data science, AI engineer, AI developer is faded away, right? So let's understand from MNC point of view. So what happens at the MNCs? They are they have projects which is directly AI development. You know, you bring some people, whatever the code that they will do, it will directly go into the production scenario. So the candidate who is they need a candidate who is able to solve that specific problem. Right now, most of the companies are building AI agents. Most of the companies are working with uh, RAG-based solutions, AI development, AI engineering kind of a solutions, right? If one has already done 5, 6, 10 projects, which is directly in correlation with the job description of an AI engineer, AI developer, or data science per se, then they are a very good candidate for that specific role. So I think then they should prefer it until unless they don't have any restriction that if it is a fresher, we should not even consider his resume. But even though if you have to outshine it, you should always master or portray your resume or do projects which is exactly matching to their job description. I mean, to their requirements into whatever the current projects which is happening into the industry. Yeah.
No, that's okay, but what about maths and statistics? I mean, if I ask you that for you, how much important is this as a foundation of data science?
It
Is it
is important.
okay?
I do expect students to know about the maths and fundamentals of machine learning algorithms. It is important.
Okay. And which concepts of mathematics they should prioritize at the first place?
Of course, they should start with the fundamentals. I mean, I'm not sure if they already have a good foundation of calculus or maybe linear algebra
Yeah.
or differential calculus. I mean, it depends. If they have already learned from 11, 12, then that is fine. If they don't, then they have to understand how the matrix calculation works, how the matrix multiplication works. Because if you see the neural network, if you look at the language models, if you look at different models which is getting trained or getting deployed, at the end there are a lot of mathematics that goes on. If people does not know what is a dot product, what is a vector product, what is a vector search, what the cosine similarity, how does that work? So fundamental of these things are very, very important, which is starting with the matrix, starting with their multiplication, understanding how the formulas of the complete summation will work. These things are very, very important.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to know from you. That
Mhm.
most students, if I talk about students, they only focus on the coding part, like Python
Yeah,
or R programming, but they don't focus on the foundation, the mathematics. When I ask
correct.
them that, do you know calculus or linear algebra,
Right.
like that, so they are completely falling from sky. They have no idea.
In fact, if you see the software engineering projects, initially they were completely, I mean, still, it's completely based on the algorithm that you write. But every machine learning project, every AI project is completely driven by data and the probabilistic in nature, right? So you have to understand the fundamentals of probability. and how that probability is getting implemented in each of these algorithms. At least those fundamental understanding you need to have. So 5 domains mathematics that you can understand. One is the classification type of algorithms, and then there is a regression type of algorithm and corresponding maths. What is the formula? What is the maths that goes behind it? And then there comes the neural network based some projects, then computer vision, CNN based some projects, and then you can work on any language based models. So I think if you do such kind of projects, it will cover. You can do one more area of projects and understand the mathematics, which is clustering based projects or unsupervised based learning kind of a project. So if you, again, my approach would be not to learn complete mathematics and then probability. What I will do is that I will pick these 5, 6 algorithms which I want to showcase in my resume, and then whatever the probability, mathematics, calculus, linear algebra is behind that specific algorithm, I would just understand and learn that.
Okay, another big question I wanted to ask you, as a CTO, when you are hiring a fresher, what 3 criteria you are checking? And as an experienced data scientist or AI ML engineer, when you are hiring, so what are the 3 criteria you are checking basically?
Mhm. Okay, so from fresher, the first criteria is, of course, I would try to optimize that whether he has the required skills or not. So that's the one. I mean, of course, the weightage is not that much, but it depends. If I could get a person who has already done the relevant projects, have a good understanding of maths, probability, etc., that's a good to go. Second important aspect is the ability to directly think on his feet. I know that you don't have a solution right now, but if I give you a problem statement, if you are you able to find that solution and come back again tomorrow with the proper solution or not? Do you have that curiosity? Do you have that problem solving ability or not? That's the second thing I would do. And third is the very most important factor, which is the attitude. uh, since we are a very close, small company, attitude, behavior is very, very important. I don't do any sort of micromanagement. So having that positive attitude, a very good behavior across your team members and peers, a good communication, this really adds a plus value. So these are the 3 things that I look at. And similarly, I also look at the 3 things, but the weightage is different. So here the weightage is, since the person is already experienced, so I believe that okay, he has already delved into culture, which the attitude is good. But again, we do a cross check with the third aspects. We do a deep drill down into his or her skills part. So we go into a very deeper, and there is no negotiation with the experienced person. And then of course is whether that person is a problem solver or not. Okay, if I throw out any of the problem, whether he is able to think outside his brain, maybe explore all of the tools which is available, does he or she have that grit, that tenacity, that thinking ability or not, to come out of his comfort zone and find that solution for me? These are the 3 aspects that I look in both of these roles, but the weightage is varies for both these roles.
Okay, so I think we have got all of our answers. So we can end here, right? Finally, before ending, I just want to ask one final question that we used to ask every single guest of our podcast, that what message you want to give to the students. For example, the students who are in just started college or just
Yeah.
in the schools, they have a lots of exposure, but their filtering capacity is very less. They don't know how to filter the best course or the best pathway that he or she should follow to
Mm.
reach to reach the final destination or the final career what they are dreaming of. So
Right.
what message you want to give to students?
I mean, it's a very important question and also a very deeper question as well. So, uh, first of all, any student who is, I mean, we were also there in those shoes during our first year, second years. We didn't know what to do in our life. But I would still say that whatever student you are, first define your destination.
Hmm.
Okay, explore until unless your destination is still clear defined. Till that time, you explore everything. You explore front end, you explore back end, you explore AI tools, you explore automation, you explore business, you explore communication, you explore everything. And because I personally believe everyone has their own perspective. I personally believe that graduation, college days are there to explore you. They give you the opportunity, give you a platform to explore yourself. So I would suggest all these youngsters to explore yourself. First, identify where exactly would you want to go, and once you have decided your destination, then figuring out what and how is very easy. Okay, so you need to understand what exactly do you want, why do you want to define your why, and then how would you like to go ahead. That's where they will start initially. Maybe someone will provide some solution, okay, this is how you will go. While interacting with several students, what happens is that I'm asking that, okay, I'm doing front end, I'm doing back end, I'm doing business development as well, I'm doing market research as well. So the challenge here is that whatever that is coming into their mind, they are not very crystal clear where exactly I want to go. During the interviews, at the end, I give them one solution, one question that, hey, where do you see yourself in next 1 to 3 year, 5 year, or 10 year down the line? Okay, do you see yourself growing in this specific area? If you see yourself becoming an AI developer in next 6 months, in next 1 year, next 2 year, okay, if that destination is clear to you, then I will hire him. Many people are not very sure. So there are two things which one needs to focus on. One, explore yourself to identify where do you want to go. Second, then focus on how do you want to reach it. And then of course, because of this is the internet world, lot of videos, courses are already available. So one needs to be aware, one needs to find a good mentor who will be able to help him, guide him to reach his final destination, whatever the decided place that they have.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for giving us your valuable time. We are ending the discussion here. People who are watching, please consider subscribing and make sure you are sharing this video, especially with students, because they are going to learn a lot from this video, especially from a CTO of a company and a former IITian. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us.